Aloha. How is everybody today? It is August 8th, Thursday. It is 8:30 Eastern, 2:30 p.m. in Hawaii, and I am very happy to be here. My name, of course, is Kim Ann Curtin, and I am the Wall Street Coach. I do these now almost every Tuesday and Thursday for those who want to have some coaching. I have set up a phone number now, too, for traders to leave a voicemail so I can address their question. We have one text message from that number today. So please be sure if obviously this is done in service to you. I'm going to always bring you in. If you want to volunteer, then you'll come in on camera and I can coach you in real time. But for those who are shy, who don't want to leave, who don't want to come in on camera, then you guys can call this voicemail and you can leave your message there. If you guys check out my well, I'll just give you the number right here because it should be right up on your screen. But the phone number here is 646-828-7736. And that is a voicemail I've set up, and I will listen to it before these so I can take on whatever coaching challenge a trader's having. Like I said, I'm going to address the one we got in. We only have one so far because most people don't even know this number exists. So please help spread the word because that's what this is for, right? I come on here 3 times a week. So 2 of these lives, and then I'm going to do an X space tomorrow with the same idea to see how that goes. Of course, X, I can be on camera, but you guys won't be on camera. Here, you would be on camera. So yeah. Bottom line is I want to really tackle the challenges you had. This was a hell of a week for a lot of traders. It was like, I want to set a 3-day bear market. But I really hope that this is a contribution to you guys. So first out of the gate, what I want to do is just thank Centerpoint for being our sponsor. Tina, I'm just seeing your note here now. I'm so glad you're here. All right, so here is, I'm going to put this in the message bar. Here is the special link that I have from Centerpoint for my listeners for you to really check it out deeply with no fee. And I can't say enough about their service. If you guys watch me regularly, you're going to constantly hear me sing their praises for a good reason. So please go check Centerpoint out and see what they have to offer. If you're an active trader, it's going to be in service to you. The other thing that I want to do is just put this up on Twitter because I understand that Twitter, for some reason, isn't letting the links that I post here be shown. So anyway, I'm going to go do that now. In the replies to the post here, this live post that I'm doing. So here is thanks to Centerpoint. I'm just going to tag them so they see that we are talking about them. And I also want to just say that, these conversations, I'm always going to come with a topic, but they are most effective if you guys do raise your hand or throw a challenge in the ring. So, good to have you here, Luke Trader. It's been a while. I'm so glad you're here. Would you like some coaching today, Luke Trader? If you would like coaching, I can give you this link and then you can sign in and we can get down to business, but it's up to you. I get that not everybody's comfortable doing it, but if you do want to come in, just say the word and I'll put the link here in the handle. But I'm glad you're here, whether you come into the room or not. So I did want to start with I'm in a different location today. I'm taking care of a friend's home while they're away and their little kitty cat. So I'm in a different location instead of at my office like I usually am. But it's nice to just mix it up. And they have a jacuzzi, which I love jacuzzi. So I'm going to be taking a lot of jacuzzi baths while I'm staying here, which is, it's not bad way to go where you get to have a vintage just kicked up. Did you guys see that? We have like this crazy. So we have 7, but this wind is so different. It comes from the south. And when the wind comes from the south, everything goes kind of crazy because we're so used to the wind coming from the north. So it's kind of like, whoa, all the, different things outside get screwed up and stuff. So it's funny, I don't know that I could have ever told you where a wind was coming from when I lived in New York City. All I knew is that when you walked down the block, when you went past a really big building, got to the corner, you would always get this crazy gust of wind, especially in the winter time. But it's very different here. There's a whole bunch of different weather patterns you have to get used to here. All right, so let me get to our question for today. Obviously, please put more questions in the chat box, though. This is just the one that came in over the, I think this came in on Tuesday when I was doing the other live. Okay, so they don't tell us who they are, so they just said, thank you, Kim, for doing this. Having this line open is amazing. I was hoping you could help me with the first steps to take in this issue I have. I know exactly what I do wrong in giving back what I make. Could be that day or later that week or even months down the road after doing well, being disciplined. But no matter how many times I recognize what I've done, take accountability, adjust my rules to do things differently, I always end up doing it again eventually. Anybody else, can you guys relate to this? Oh, Luke Trader's saying, I'd love to, but I just can't, not for now, maybe one day. And I'll tell you why. Luke Trader, no sweat. I just wanted you to know that you were welcome if you wanted to come in. All right, so I'm just curious how many people here now can relate to this comment that we had left on the voicemail. This is such a common issue for traders, right? This concept of not wanting to give it back and finding, even if it isn't that day, that moment over time, that sense of like being stuck in a Groundhog Day, right? Like you make the money and then longer, or maybe you hold on to it longer than you did the last time, but then you find yourself doing it again. Tina, thank you for saying so, that you find that relatable. So part of what that, I believe, could be afoot, right? Because of course, this is a person who texted this into our phone number, so I didn't get to talk to them or ask them any of the questions, but I'm just going to, kind of riff on what I would suggest anybody kind of investigate if this is happening to you as a trader. Is I want you to realize this very simple, the truth of this very simple, common statement. And it's been around for years, so I hope you guys will just let it sink in for a minute. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. Does anybody know what that means, right? What we are used to, what we are comfortable with, is the devil we know. What we have always experienced, what we have always spent our time with, what we have always been around. These are all the devil that we each know. When you have a desire to have different experiences in your life, you want to pause and ask yourself, how am I potentially uncomfortable with the new, with the different, with the unfamiliar? So let's just say, for all intents and purposes, that this person who texted in has come from a middle-class background, or has come from a culture that tells them that, blue collar background where the money in the family is earned by the laborers, right? The day laborers, the guys that are on the job sites at 5 a.m., the miners, the construction workers, the builders, right? The people who have this kind of like specific art form, but their body is sort of what they use to make a living. If you come from that cultural background, you possibly could have a belief that having money, making money, has to involve hard work. And hard work could be for you a physical effort. And there's a lot of hard work with regards to being a trader, but it can be physically exhausting and it can get on your eyes, but you're not putting your back into it like Tina's just said, right? There is a grit that you're going to have to bring to trading. There's no doubt, but I want you guys to just hear this concept. And this I really believe has a big part of why some traders can't get over this hump of giving it back. There is sometimes an unconscious bias, an unconscious comfort with making money, period. Never mind as a trader. But if you are coming, and I've talked about this book before, gosh, and it's a book whose title I always forget because it's just counterintuitive what it was called. But it's about this journalist who came from a blue-collar working class family. And when he first decided to become a journalist, he got a lot of shit from his relatives and his family because they couldn't like, oh, you're going to write stories. Oh, it's if that's so hard, right? They kind of gave him a hard time because they had been workers, they had been laborers, they had been men who had, broken their backs to make ends meet. And now this guy who's going to be, I think, the first one in his family to go to college. And I think is it called blue collar dreams, white collar dreams, blue collar dreams, something like that. And he talked about how he almost felt like he was betraying his family by becoming a journalist, like as if he was doing something wrong, dirty or bad, or as if he was trying to get away with something. This is something that I will often ask traders to ask themselves as they start down this journey, or if they found themselves hitting an invisible ceiling. It likely has to do with your relationship to money. Very few traders, when they come into this, or even in the throes of success, have ever really looked at what is my relationship to money like? What and how do I relate to money? If I were to ask money questions about your relationship, if I were to meet money, the money that's in your bank account, your trading account, your 401k or SEP IRA, if I were to talk to the money that's in your wallet, the money you give to a partner, maybe when they go to the grocery store, the money you spend on vacation, the money you spend on a watch, I want you to constantly look for what would money have to say about you and it. Oh, she avoids me like the plague. Oh, she doesn't even balance her checkbook. Oh, she has a hard time looking at me and gets really a tense stomach. Oh, she doesn't like me. She actually feels ashamed. She actually over tips because she doesn't feel like she has a right to expect wait staff to treat her well. Or he, like, these are all a variety of things I've heard about. And so Luke Trader here is saying here, I keep being very consistent, profitable in paper, and keep blowing real accounts. It's horrendous. I may never suffered that much. I really feel frustrated also and don't know what to do. Also, unconscious issues. Thank you, Tina, so much for getting that title for me. Blue Collar Roots, White Collar Dreams. That is such a good book, guys, because it just helps you take a hard look at it. Luke Trader, I would recommend you do some work around your money. And that is ultimately what I'm suggesting to everybody, but the person who texted into our phone number, I'm presuming it's a he, but it could be a she, is basically what they're up against is simply that they are coming from a place possibly, again, we don't know if this is part of the inquiry you guys have to do. You want to get very curious. Even you, look, trader, what is your relationship to money like? What is your relationship? Because money often represents how we feel about ourselves and our own worthiness. When I first started to coach and started to see my clients have a great deal of success with the tools that I gave them, with the insights or what I reflected back to them, I upped my prices. And I'm going to tell you right now, there are some people to this day who are very resistant to how much I ask for. Now, some of that could be just because I'm a woman, could be because I'm not with a doctorate degree after my name, but some of it, I think, is because those people have yet to possibly ask for the amount that they have a right to ask for. So what happens is, I don't know if you've ever seen, is it Serena Williams or Venus? I can't recall. As a little girl, she was like 13 or 14 years old, and she was with the 60 Minutes reporter. I just posted this on Instagram actually the other day. And she's 13 years old, and he's asking her about, whether she thinks she can beat somebody. And she is very calmly, in a very zen state, this little 14-year-old. And she's like, I know I can beat them. And he says, confident, aren't you? She's like, yes, I'm very confident. And he's like, how come? You can see he is insecure with her confidence. You can see he is threatened by her confidence, by her sense of knowing what she knows about her capabilities. I want to say there's a lot of that going around out there, guys. People can get threatened. People can get jealous. People can get intimidated. And here's the shocker. That person could be you with your own success. That could be your inner gremlin or inner critic that gets kicked up when you start doing well, because there is going to be the shadow side of you or inner saboteur that's going to say, oh, you think you've got it all figured out now, do you? And that voice is possibly happening very quietly, very subtly underneath and sabotaging you. Now, this is why it's so critical to do the work on understanding who you are, starting to get connected to the relationship you have with yourself, the relationship you have with money. I've told this story before, but I think it bears repeating. When I first started to work in the hedge fund world, I watched my salary go through the roof. My boss only flew privately, so I was flying privately when I went with him. Like, my life overnight shifted into a very different world. And I've told the story about this very expensive lipstick that I wanted. I had wanted this lipstick at Saks Fifth Avenue in New York City on Fifth Avenue. It's where all the beautiful Christmas windows are. And whenever I went into that store, it was just over the top magnificent, especially at Christmas time. It's always beautiful. But I remember going in there after I got my first bonus, which was just like, it was like crazy money. I was like, I cannot believe I'm making this much money. But I actually had distress internally. I remember being afraid. What if I blow it all? What if I lose it? What if I spend it the wrong way? What if I don't invest enough? Like, I just was plagued with this feeling of like, who do I think I am that I have this much money? That was kicking up all my inner saboteurs, all of my inner critics. And I remember it took me like 3 rotations around the entire city block to have the guts to go in and buy that stupid $60 lipstick, because I felt ashamed for spending that much on lipstick. I felt like something was wrong if I went and got that lipstick. I had yearned for it for a long time because I had not done work around my relationship to money. I had not done the work around my own relationship to myself. And that work, guys, you need to do, especially if you want to go the distance here as a trader. You're going to have to get comfortable with money and with what your old stories about money are. And you're going to have to redesign the thermostat that you are currently set at. Our bodies, our unconscious, our central nervous system wants the status quo. The status quo is what it's used to. The similar is what it's used to. So it will constantly check you back in this way that feels horrendous, like Luke Trader is speaking to, because it just wants to get to back to what's familiar. This is spoken quite at length in T. Harv Eker's book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. T. Harv Eker says that we each have this thermostat that gets set in our childhood about money, about our relationship to it. Our parents had a relationship to it. Their parents had a relationship to it. They each had their own either traumas or not, came from poverty or came from great wealth. But infrequently, I'm trying to think, have I ever, guess I've met a couple when they were institutional traders, but I have rarely met day traders who come into this having had a family that was independently wealthy or that were, blue bloods that had generational wealth. Most traders, retail day traders, are usually coming from a poor or middle class background or upper middle class background, but not the kind of life where you have flown around privately on jets. Infrequently do I meet day traders that are coming from that background. So you have to ask yourselves, guys, is it possible that you have some stories about the people that do fly privately? Do you have some stories or judgments, let's call it what it is, about those who are wealthy? If you have judgments about people who are really wealthy, if you have stories that you believe in, that the people who are rich, the Millionaire Mindset, it's actually called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And it's Eker, E-K-E-R. I don't know what I did here. Hold on. I pressed the wrong button. Yeah, T. Harv Eker. Okay, this is not going to go on Twitter, so I'll have to add it to Twitter later. T. Harv Eker is the name of the author, and it's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. That's the name of it. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Such a good book. But there's so many other books. Like, look, I've read, I don't know, at least 70 books on money, maybe more, maybe less. I don't remember. But here are a couple of other books. And here's the thing, guys. I read a lot. I have spent my whole life reading. I love reading. I was talking to I just have made a new friend. Shout out to you, Ian. And Ian, like me, does not have a television, does not watch TV. Both he and I read multiple books at the same time. So this is what I do. When I get home at night after work, I have like 5 books going. I have a couple of fiction books. I usually have a book club book. I have nonfiction books. I have sometimes history books. I will have a collection of books, and then I sit down after I eat and I say to myself, what am I in the mood for? And then I pick up that book and start reading. So I read a lot. You don't have to read a lot, but these books that I speak to, if you hear one that reaches you, that touches you, that makes you think, wait a minute, that's the book I have to read. Go get it. Books are honestly part of where I've gotten all these tools from, because the books give you so much life experience that you get to do on somebody else's dime. Somebody else went through pain and suffering, and they come and write a book and give you what they went through. It's like you don't have to go through the pain and suffering. I mean, it just seems to me like, why wouldn't you go and take that opportunity to gather that wisdom? So, all right, so here are a couple other books on money, because why not? And I've said them before, but you never know if you guys are here for the first time. This is another book. This book will definitely trigger a lot of people. Here's the title. The title alone is triggering. Money is Love. That's right. Money is Love. And that is by Barbara Wilder. It's a very small book, a very thin book. Let me tell you this, guys. That title, that book, just the title was so triggering. When I was working on my book, Transforming Wall Street, I had met somebody. I just come to Hawaii, and I had met somebody, that I had heard a couple of friends really respect. It was an older man, a little bit old-fashioned, but, I didn't really know him, but I took the judgment of these other people, which is always a risk. And I gave him a copy of my manuscript. And he wrote me. He was so triggered by my book, because at the start of my book, I talk at length about Barbara Wilder's book, Money is Love. And what it showed me is that people have a lot of triggers when it comes to money. Luke Trader says, I'd like and want money. Nothing against private jets, but at the same time, I feel uncomfortable spending on expensive things too. So, Luke, I hear you, and I appreciate that you say you like money, but if there is any discomfort with spending on expensive things, then what we know is that there possibly is still an invisible belief or a sense of this concept of perhaps that is not something I am worthy of or deserving of. I don't like that word deserve, but I'm just going to use it in this instance. So here's what I would like to say. This is another book that I'm going to recommend to you. Look, and again, you don't have to read them all, because it sounds like the T. Harv Eker book is resonating for you. But this book is really, yes, Money is Love is great, and I think that's a good one to read. But the other one that's coming to me right now for you is a book called How to Make One Hell of a Profit and Still Go to Heaven. That is by Dr. Demartini, and it is a fantastic book to help us see how he himself, even though he liked money, so to speak, he had some stories. He had some resistance of like what was the right amount of money to have, so to speak. What was the right? He was actually setting up, I think, his chiropractic business, and he was hesitant to ask for the amount he really wanted to ask for, because he thought like, well, who am I to ask for that much, right? Even though he was doing miraculous things for his patients. So I just want to say that is something that I think is common, especially if you've come from a poor middle class or blue collar background. So the key here, guys, is to just do some inquiry. Ask yourself, what would money say if Kim interviewed it about a relationship? Ask yourself, what did my parents teach me about money? What did their parents teach them, right? You guys have heard that story. I've told it before about the meatloaf in the pan. It's such a great story, because it just underlines how sometimes we spend our whole lives not even questioning the beliefs that our parents handed down to us, right? Our parents didn't even know that they were beliefs or stories that they inherited from their parents or grandparents or other caretakers. And that's what I want you guys to look for. So the meatloaf story, or the, I don't know, whatever, what are we going to call it? I'm not a cook. So let's just call it a pot roast. Let's call it the pot roast story. So here's the story. The pot roast story is the young daughter who's in the kitchen with her mom making the pot roast. Is mother's going through the recipe, and the mother just cuts off the ends, and then puts the the stuff on it. And the daughter's like, Mom, I've always wanted to ask you, how come you cut the ends off of the pot roast before you put the toppings on the dressing? And the mom's like, that's a good question. I don't know. My mom always did it that way. So lucky in this story, the grandmother's still alive. So they call the grandmother. And the grandmother's like, I don't know. That's the way my mother always made the pot roast. So they call that great grandmother in the story. She's still alive too. And they're like, listen, great grandma, why is it that, you always cut the ends off? None of us know the reason for that. And you know what the great grandmother says? She says, my pot was too small, right? So you have a great grandmother in the Depression with a very small pot, very small oven, probably, very small piece, to get that little bit of meat she got, for it to fit in her pan, she had to cut the ends off. But guys, 2 generations, 3 generations after her, they don't have a small pot anymore, but they're still throwing away perfectly good meat because that's the way it's always been done. So ask yourselves, guys, what about your relationship to money is possibly something that has just always been done, has always been the way your parents did it, always the way their parents did it, and their grandparents did it. So the second book was how to make one hell of a profit and still go to heaven. That's the beginning. How to make one hell of a profit. That I typed out on how to make one hell of a profit and still get to heaven. DeMartini is the author of that book. And that book just confronts us all with what these stories are that we have tied up in a relationship to money. All right, let me pause for a minute. This is a good topic because thanks to our person who left that voicemail. Please remember, guys, to leave your voicemail questions for me to answer. I'm going to do a Spaces tomorrow on Twitter because I want to see if that is not a better forum, but perhaps just a different forum. So remember, guys, here's the phone number. You can call, and I'll put it in the box here, 646. I got a New York number because I'm still a New Yorker at heart, even if I'm living in Hawaii now. All right, 646, let's see, 828 7736. 7736. And my assistant checks it every time I come on here before I go on to give me any messages. You can leave a text message, you can leave a voice message, whatever you're more comfortable with. But that is where I'm going to go before I come on to these lives and take those questions and give you guys answers. But remember, I much prefer to coach people live. So think about that. Think about, there's 99 people here right now. Somebody must want coaching. So I want you to get your questions for the coaching ready and come on Tuesday or Thursday with me for live coaching. I mean, guys, I'm expensive. So you want to take advantage of this time you get with me without having to pay for me. So take me up on this offer. And that's why I do it, guys, because I am very expensive. And it's because I know that everybody that works with me is going to get a huge return. But for those who can't afford me, this is why I do this as my community way of giving back to the community. So what else did I want to say? Oh, I want to also give you guys a link for the PDF. This is a link that's going to always that's going to come to you in 5 segments over 5 weeks. This is in reference to all of the 5 practices that I have. And it's got this PDF, if you sign up for it, is going to change each week with a focus on one of those 5 practices, which if it's your first time hearing from me, you're going to learn a lot more about those 5 practices if you keep listening to what I have to say. Those 5 practices were what I found in common among the Wall Street 50 men and women who succeeded in finance with their integrity, with consciousness. And I was so in awe that those 50 had these in common. And these are sacred wisdom practices that have been around for decades, but leaning into these practices, learning how to really step it up and turn up the volume on them can change your whole life and will certainly change your trading, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So take a look at your money, guys. What kind of tipper are you? What kind of saver are you? There also, remember that moneyharmony.com. I think the website has gone down now. Olivia Mellon, she has a book, but she also had an assessment, which may or may not be still out there online, where it's a very simple, free assessment that lets you get a sense of what your relationship to money is. Yeah, sure, Luke. I offer group coaching. I offer one-on-one coaching come September, probably middle of October, rather. I'm going to start a small group again. It'll be limited to 10 traders. So if you would like to do that, let us know. And, and also, guys, please do sign up for Curtain Call. We have a great post coming out tomorrow. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, please sign up. Let's see here. I'm just looking for the right link to give you guys for the newsletters. I know I have to get better at, let's see. Copy this link. My team yells at me all the time. It's like, Kim, you never tell people to sign up for the newsletter. So if you go to my website, thewallstreetcoach.com, you'll see how to sign up for us. I really hope you'll do that. And you can always send me a DM too on X, because my DMs are open. And happy to talk to Luke about, what it would be like to work with me. What else do I want to say? I'm going to have to end these. For me to do this a couple times a week, guys, I have to keep the calls, have to keep them to a minimum, because I easily can, go for an hour or more, because I love to talk about this stuff. So what else do you guys need to know? I'll take one more question if there is anybody that has one burning question. But if not, then I'll wrap it up. But please come to the space tomorrow on X. Let me just tell you what time it's going to be. It's going to be at 4:30 Eastern. So come to the X space tomorrow. You don't have to have you're not going to be seen, but if you come into the room and you want speed coaching, that's what it's for tomorrow. So come to the X space, 4:30 Eastern, on my X space. And of course, you guys know my handle on X, or I don't think you'd be here, Kim Ann Curtin. And just remember, the curtain has no A in it. It's the Irish spelling of curtain. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember who Jane Curtin was, but she was one of the stars in Saturday Night Live back in the day, and her name is spelled the same way as mine. So, okay, I don't see any other questions coming through, so I'm going to wrap it up. Please bring whatever trading issues you have to tomorrow's space on X. And if you don't come tomorrow, hopefully I'll see you next week. I'm going to do these mostly on Tuesdays and Thursdays about this time, give or take. So you can always go to the YouTube channel, The Wall Street Coach with Kim Ann Curtin. That's my YouTube channel. And you can always sign up for a notification then to be reminded when I do these things. What else did I want to say? Yeah, so if you do want any coaching, you want to talk to me about what it's like to work with me individually, I'm very limited in who I can take on. So you have to be really serious and ready to go. And of course, I'm going to offer up that small group coaching probably come October. So that's it. I hope you guys are, be gentle with yourselves, guys. If you were trading this week, there was a lot for you to deal with. It started Sunday night. So please find a way to nourish yourselves. Make sure you get some sleep if you can over this weekend. Do what you can. That's a healthy way to come down, get the cortisol levels in yourself down. Take a walk in nature if you can. Do whatever you can that organically, naturally calms you down, because this was a stressful week for almost everybody. So I want you to be good to yourselves, kind to yourselves, and I just want you guys to not give up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Tina. I'm glad you were here. Luke Trader, glad you were here.